is extremely complicated to the point where it seems intentional that they really make it so broad, confusing.
It is a means for the government to control the public. And that's why we'll never have a flat tax.
Social media virality, I would say. The understanding is that I need to have a Lamborghini, a Ferrari, I need to have a private jet, and it's really not realistic.
The wealthy, they don't spend all the money that they earn. The money goes to savings. So for taxing, spending, consumption, the low-income families are going to pay disproportionately more in taxes. I'm a pilot now.
You're a pilot.
I
Lucy.
am, yeah.
Private pilot. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode number 2 of Unlocking Success. Your host, Mario Santos here. I have the pleasure to present to you here today a good friend of mine, Lucy Petry. By the way, before I allow her to give you a little bit of insight as to who she is, Lucy has been extremely helpful in my journey as an entrepreneur, as a founder of a law firm. And it's just been really a great ride knowing her, having her guidance, and making sure that we're executing to what we want to accomplish here. But she is a professional. She is someone who's hardworking, who really is a prime example of someone who has excelled in all aspects from what I can see, of course, of life, of success. And hopefully here today, we want to make sure that you get an opportunity to hear what have been some of those challenges, but more importantly, some of the keys for her to achieve success. Lucy, welcome here to our podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for the kind words. That was really nice. Thank you.
Of course, it's my pleasure, Lucy. It's something that I do appreciate you being here, and of course, taking time off of your extremely busy day. Right?
I'm happy to be here.
Good, fantastic. Now, I mentioned to you right now, or to the audience, that you are someone who, in my opinion, really has been able to achieve success, at least by the way that you have accomplished and demonstrated the service that I really benefit from in being one of your clients. But walk me through a little bit exactly before we really dive into what service you offer. Walk me through a little bit of your background so that they can better understand exactly what it is that you do, who you are, your licenses, of course, to make sure that they understand that.
Yeah, so I'm duly licensed as a CPA and as an attorney. I have LLM, which is fancy word for a master's degree in taxation from Georgetown University.
Fantastic.
And I have over 20 years of experience doing tax work.
Impressive.
Thank you.
Tell me, what exactly drove you to say, I want to be able to be in this particular area of law involving tax?
I think it was accidental. Before I went to law school, and I went to law school late in life. And when I went to law school, I already had a CPA practice. So when I graduated, and I went to school part-time, and I maintained my practice during law school. So when I graduated, it was just they just mixed and it just became an extension of each other. And most days, I don't know if I'm practicing accountancy or practicing law. They all come together. But when I was in law school, I was watching all the attorneys, like what their lives were like. And one summer, I did a rotation with the district clerk. And I got to spend 2 weeks in each court. So 2 weeks in family, 2 weeks in juvenile court, civil, 2 weeks in misdemeanor, and 2 weeks in felony. Is it 2 weeks? Maybe 1 week. That's like a whole lot of summer. But the criminal attorneys they were having a blast. Those guys were having fun.
Having a good time, huh?
They were having a great time. The family-in-law ones, not so much. And I definitely, it's like, that will not be something that I will be doing.
I hear you.
And so I was thinking maybe I will do some criminal law work because
You considered it.
I did.
I didn't know this. Okay.
And it came down to tax or criminal. And I remember sitting and talking to a friend of mine, and he said, Lucy, do you want to have fun or do you want to make money? And I think he was thinking like that the criminal was going to be fun and that the tax law was going to be money. But for me, tax law was fun too. So
You enjoyed it.
I did. So that became that was the answer.
Well, specifically because you mentioned you had a CPA practice before going to law school. By the way, where did you go to law school?
South Texas College of Law here in
Fantastic.
Houston.
There
Yes.
we go. Best time. Best one.
Love it. I had a great time in law school.
Okay. I actually enjoyed it myself as well. Did you go part-time, you mentioned?
I did.
So highlight some of that issue, because I know for a lot of folks, and actually in my class, I know you mentioned you started late in life, and that was actually the regular in my class where I had a whole lot of folks who this was their second career.
Yeah.
And it certainly did not discourage them in continuing those education efforts to
Right.
really better their personal circumstances, better their family's life as well.
Yeah.
What do you think drove you, especially if you already had a CPA practice, for how long did you have a CPA practice for?
Maybe 10 years or so.
Prior to going to law school?
Yeah.
What drove you to say, I'm going to go to law school?
I can tell you exactly what it was. Well, a couple things. Long time ago in the 90s, when I was going to school at UCLA, I remember sneaking in and just watching a little bit of law classes. I was fascinated. And I had this brochure that I carried with me every move, and life changes and whatnot. And I found myself moving once again and coming across that brochure. It's like, oh, I've been carrying this for 10 years, 20 years, and maybe it's time. But what really drove me to law school, in the early 2000s, I became involved with a nonprofit program.
Okay.
And this program would go into low-income parts of town and help families with their taxes for free. And in this program, I ended up working this program for 20 years. I brought the program to South Texas College of Law. I managed and ran the program. But back then, I as a volunteer, I would see clients that had serious tax problems, and I would feel helpless. I did not have the credentials or the training to help them, to make a difference and get them out of whatever tax situation they were in. And that really was a driver for me to go into law school and obtain the credentials and be able to help them.
In terms of being enlightened with the areas of law, providing that legal guidance to these folks who unfortunately did not have the economical resources to actually get the guidance to begin with.
Right.
You brought this over to South Texas College of Law. From the time period that you have been involved with them, approximately how many folks have you been able to help out?
Oh my goodness. I think right now we help about 100 or so every year.
Every single year. And you said this program has been in existence since...
I started the program as a student in 2012, I think.
My God. So it's
Yeah.
been a whole lot of families that you've been able to help out.
Yeah, it's been a lot, and we completed 10 years a couple years ago.
That's fantastic, Lucy.
It was really special to be able to bring this program to the law school. I kept the program through the University of St. Thomas, which is another school that I'm involved with. So we kept the program through the University of St. Thomas, and also started the program at the law school through the clinics.
Understood. Now, in this situation, and just to clarify for the audience, this is a program that allows individuals who don't have those economical resources to be able to get help in preparing their tax returns. Is that
That's
what
right.
it is?
That's exactly what it is.
Got it. Understood. Okay. And from these folks that have helped out, have they later on in life reached out to you and say, hey, look, thank you so much for the opportunity. It's been, certainly life changing, I'm sure, for some folks because they don't have that resource to be able to help out.
Yeah, it's really nice. Working at the first site that I worked at, I would see the kids growing up and then having babies themselves and getting married and see the family growing
Very
and
fulfilling.
all
Very
the
fulfilling, I'm
yeah,
sure.
it was
Lucy.
really special.
Let's back up a bit because I know you mentioned late in life. Approximately, is this a situation that's something there was some particular challenge? I know it was eventually something that inspired you to say, I have this brochure, let's make it happen now. What exactly were some of the challenges that you experienced before, as you were making your way through your undergrad studies and eventually then making that decision to say, I'm going to go to law school?
Yeah, I had a bit of a rough start in life. I became a mother at a very young age. I was a teenager, and this is in Brazil, where I'm originally from. And then soon after I had my baby, her father died in a
Oh,
motorcycle
sorry
accident.
about that.
Yeah, so here I was like young. My family didn't have a lot of means, and
You were still living in Brazil.
yes, I was
Oh,
still living in
understood.
Brazil, and it was really difficult. It was
Right.
really hard, but that gave me so much drive and so much ambition to. I wanted better for my daughter. I wanted to do more in life than becoming a statistic.
But you had the mentality to say, I need to get better.
Yeah,
I need to provide for my family now.
yeah.
What happened? What did you do?
I had the opportunity, so I started working. I started working at an airline where my parents worked, and I had the opportunity to come to the U.S. to study English. And it's a cute story. My mom used to sleep with this sweatshirt that said UCLA,
Okay.
and we would joke that it was a school in the United States, and that someday I would go to that school. But it was such an impossibility. It was so far out, and we just joke and laugh about it. Well, when I had the opportunity to go and study English in Los Angeles, I said I have to go visit this UCLA, which is UCLA. I had to go and visit the Oakland because
Yeah.
it's a thing and take a
Right.
picture and send it to my mom. And my friend said, "Why don't you put in an application just for fun, just for the hell of it?" And I did, and
Application to go to
to go
UCLA.
to attend UCLA,
My God.
and I did, and I got accepted. I never in a million years imagined that I would. And my family, put all the resources we could together for me to get started at UCLA. So my daughter was about 3 years old.
When you went and got accepted to UCLA.
Yes,
Got it.
and I moved here with 4 suitcases and $4,000.
Did you have any family
I
here?
had no family. I knew a couple of people, and but I was so excited. I was so happy. I was on top of the world.
This is one of those lessons where I want to make sure that the audience understands because really for anybody else, it would be intimidating. It would
Yeah,
be a situation where I don't know anybody out there. What's going to happen to me? And they're scared and they may make that decision to say, I'm not going to do it because they're focusing on that negativity.
yeah.
But you say, I'm excited.
I was so happy.
And you
I
said,
was
I'm going to
so
go for it.
happy. Yeah,
Wow.
it was.
So I'm sure you experienced a little bit of hardship as soon as you made it here. You had 4 suitcases.
Yeah, it was so hard. It was so scary and difficult. Um, I remember, and cut this out if you cannot say
It's up
this
to
on the
you. No, 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 no. You're
podcast.
absolutely fine.
So I didn't speak English well. I mean, very, very basically. And I remember going into Target, and I had to furnish my little tiny apartment
Right.
in a very bad part of town. I had to furnish, and I was at Target, and I could not find the sheets,
Okay.
but I found a Target associate worker, whatever, and I said, "Where are your shits?" She looked at me and like,
What are
"What?"
you talking about here, lady?
And I was like, to cover the bed.
Right.
Oh, another one. In the very beginning, again, didn't speak English, and I would go to the restaurants or see fast food at the mall, and I didn't know what the things on the menu were. I didn't have
To
the
be able to
language
order
skills
any
to be able to
food, you
order
were
food.
struggling.
Right. So I ate a lot of McDonald's because I could order
My
number
gosh.
one Coke.
But
And
you continued. You said, I'm going to make it happen.
oh yeah, it was so exciting. I had my little apartment. I went and bought a car and then learned how to drive. And
Look at you.
but I had this excitement for the future. I knew that I was going to make something of it and that give a better life to my daughter. I
That's
just
beautiful.
knew.
That's real
Yeah.
beautiful. Really, because, like I said, it's just incredible that with all these challenges and hardships that you were experiencing, you still had that excitement in you
Hmm.
to say, it's going to get better
Oh yeah.
and I'm going to
Yeah.
make something out of this."
Yeah.
How did you come about in making the decision to say, I'm going to open up my own CPA practice? Because I'm sure you put yourself to UCLA. How exactly, what influence, what mentor surrounded, yourself and ultimately allowed you the opportunity to say, this is what I want to do?
Yeah, so before I had my practice, I worked in public accounting, get the training, and I did a tax and audit. It's kind of like for accounts, it's a rite of passage
Okay.
to work in public accounting. You go and pay your dues. And then I became a controller for a publicly traded company.
Okay.
And the hours were really intense.
What are we looking at?
There was a time when I would go in before the sun came up, and I would leave after the sun went down, so I'd never
My
see
God.
daylight.
Wow.
And I realized this is not. I do not want this. This is not the life that I want. I want to have control over my schedule. I want to do meaningful work. I want to work with clients on one-on-one. I don't want to be making a lot of money for a large publicly traded corporation.
So you intentionally decided to say, I'm going to take a pay cut, but because this is what I want to do, this is how I envision my life, this is how I envision my schedule, and this is who I want to impact.
I didn't see it as a pay cut. I
Okay,
didn't see it as a
understood.
pay cut. I said like it's a step back and a readjustment, realignment, or fix the course.
Makes more sense.
Yeah, it
Understood.
was an investment.
Investment in
Yeah,
yourself.
it would hurt in the short term, but in the long term, it was the right thing to do.
This is impressive because at the end of the day, from what I've noticed in successful people, they really do place this large emphasis on long-term thinking. Has that, in your experience, allowed you to attain success with the understanding that it may hurt, it may be challenging for this small period of time, but I'm going to benefit in the long run?
Absolutely. If you know where you're going and the hardship right now is short term pain for it's just like maybe just like exercising or training, right? If you're an athlete, I'm sure it's not pleasant, whatever work they
They may
put
have to
in,
do.
but they have a purpose, an end in mind. I think I look at it the same way.
I like that perspective, Lucy. And with this perspective, you decided to say you were in public accounting. How did you come about in opening up your CPA practice? This is what I'm trying to understand as well. Was there somebody else that was in your ear? Was there a mentor that you potentially had already established a relationship with and saw that they were doing XYZ?
Yeah, I think I knew that I wanted to be my own boss. And when I was in public accounting, I made a point to work at small firms where I would get to do everything. Well, if you're in a big firm, you only do a small part of the puzzle. In a small firm, you get to do everything. And
Love it.
I had this firm I worked at, and I saw what the life was like, what they were doing, and I thought I can do this. I can provide the services. I can do this. Probably can do this better.
What year was it that you decided to open up your CPA practice?
I'm going to say maybe 2008, 9, 10.
2008, 2009, you decided to open up your practice. What were some of the challenges that you first had to deal with in getting it up off the ground?
Getting clients uh, right off the bat, right? You start out and you have no clients, and you have to build that. You have to build the clientele, and
Give me some examples, Lucy, as to what exactly were some of the challenges you had to overcome to be able to acquire these clients. Was it something that you decided to take an angle and say, I'm going to focus on referrals and I'm going to establish my network? What exactly was the strategy that you applied here?
I don't know that I had a strategy. I think I would just tell everybody what I do and give out my card. And there was no social media campaign then. There was a lot of networking and talking to people.
Slowly but surely, you built up that practice.
Yeah, yeah.
What year did you decide to say, I built it up off the ground. I want to go ahead and take this opportunity and go to law school and enhance my practice or enhance the service that I offer to our clients?
Yeah, that was 2011, the
Okay.
year I decided to go to law school. Um, yeah, I started in 2012, I think.
Law school.
Yeah, yeah.
How long did it take you
Four
for you to be able?
years.
4 years.
4 years to graduate.
And was it full time?
It was part time, night, a lot of night classes, and
So you were operating your CPA practice during the day, offering the great service to your clients. At night, I'm going to law school.
yes, and I was running the nonprofit program on Saturdays, helping the low income families.
On top of that, Lucy,
Yes,
have
yes,
you always been a person who says, I need to have my plate full?
yes. Too much.
Too much.
Too much. I think a couple of years ago, I think I overdid it. Um, I was running a nonprofit. I was getting my LLM. I was running my law practice and teaching, and that was too much.
When you say too much, did you experience a certain set of feelings? Was it a situation that you just couldn't take it any longer and continue the way that you were operating at that very high level of productivity? Or what exactly?
Yeah, I think I was overwhelmed, and I couldn't do. I think affecting my performance probably. I wasn't enjoying. I didn't have time to enjoy life. Yeah,
So that would be a key lesson, right? Because at the end of the day, the starting entrepreneur wants to have this understanding that I can do everything, right? And I can do this and I can do that. And by the time you know it, you may then be wearing yourself extremely thin to the point where you're not enjoying what you're doing.
right.
It's no longer an enjoyment, it's no longer fulfilling, and you're not performing as how you should be. So those are the things that you started noticing, and ultimately, what did you do to try to correct that?
I just started cutting back. Obviously, I completed the LLM program that resolved itself, and I quit teaching. And I was teaching at the law school at South
Top of
Texas
that as well.
and teaching at University of St. Thomas. So I let go of South Texas, but my associate took over for me,
In
and
your practice.
he's in my practice, but he took over the teaching.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, so you handed it off to your associate to be
him.
able to then handle the teaching at South Texas.
Yeah,
Fantastic. So they're still benefiting the law students and
right.
having a part of your firm be there present.
Yeah.
I love that. Is it something that you noticed right away when you said, I'm going to go ahead and try to cut down a little bit? Did that then free you up to one, live a life that you've always envisioned, second, perform better, and third, ultimately make things a lot more fulfilling when you're providing great service to your clients? Give me a little bit of your insight on that.
Yeah, so I noticed that my practice, I was not as present as I would like, and I was not spending as much time developing my practice as I would have liked, and the practice was growing and was demanding more of my time. And I thought I'm doing a disservice to my clients by not having the time. I have to choose. I cannot do all of it. And I chose the practice. I saw the practice then, and I see it now as kind of like something separate. Like I'm the board of directors of a publicly traded company, and I have a responsibility to the practice, and I have to do what is right for the practice, protect the practice, so that I can have something in the long term to sell, to pass on as my legacy.
I love that because it demonstrates how throughout your entire period of life, at least from what we've discussed here so far, you've always maintained that mindset of long-term thinking
Yeah.
in wanting to make sure that you're cutting back on certain things that potentially are not going to help you in the long run. And you just highlighted something extremely crucial here. You have an obligation to your practice to allow it to then ultimately be part of your legacy, is what you just stated.
Right.
Give me an example of a failure, Lucy, that became a pivotal moment for your growth, and whether that be in your practice, personal growth, professional growth. Give me one example of a failure in your life that has allowed you to become better.
Here's a small one, something that, and feel free, I know we've talked about this before, so feel free to remind me. There was one time, not too long ago, and this is to say that you can take a failure and turn it into something. I was helping a client, and she was upset when we completed the engagement. She was upset that we did not advise her to seek tax advice in the UK, where she was living and residing and working. And she was very upset. So I owe tax in the UK, and you should have told me that I needed to talk to an accountant in the UK. And that caused me to change my engagement letter to say, we will prepare your US tax return, not your,
Which
not
I'm
your
sure has allowed
international.
you to correct any particular misunderstanding
Yeah.
with your clients.
So that was like something that went wrong, but I guess it made us better in the long term. So we have that
Good.
clarification.
And that's really how I think of things as well, Lucy, because at the end of the day, failure for me is a moment where I can reflect on such failure. It's going to be painful, don't get me wrong, depending on the failure, but it allows me an opportunity to reflect and determine, do I need to correct certain actions, certain strategies,
Yeah.
and really then implement those corrections or modifications to get better. When the majority of the time, the understanding is that failure is bad, failure is not good, you don't want to fail. And most of the time, people is really they're held back from performing on certain things or taking action because of fear of failure. When really on my perspective, I see failure as beneficial because I'm going to get better. I'm going to
Right.
learn from this, and I'm going to make sure that it doesn't happen again.
Exactly.
But it's certainly going to be good, painful in the short term, better in the long run.
I'm laughing here because I just remember of another. I remember an epic failure.
Walk me
Oh
through
my
that.
God, this is too hard to this day. I'm so embarrassed.
It's good when you air it out.
Okay, so this is years ago, and it was during a very busy time in the firm, and another attorney emailed me about something, and I was angry and frustrated, and I typed up this really vicious email. I did not want me to send it. I was just like writing out all my frustration, and I said some unprofessional things.
Happens.
And you know what happened? I automatically hit send. Oh my God, I'm still embarrassed. Yeah, Yeah.
My
And
God.
I
There was
hit
no way that you
send.
could retract that?
No, so lesson learned. Now we have like this little delay, but I also don't vent my frustration. Uh,
Let me tell you on that note, Lucy, I had a mentor of mine who says, look, anything that you type in an email, make sure that you understand that it could be utilized as an exhibit in a court of law. So ever since, I make sure anything that gets typed up in an email coming from our office, it's going to be clean, it's going to be professional.
yes, and I don't write out my frustrations anymore, just in case that it
That's a good one. I'm
accidentally
sure you
goes
learned your
off.
lesson there, Lucy.
Oh, I'm still, that one still hurts. I'm still embarrassed.
Give me some of your actionable steps that you take. Because, look, in order, before we began this podcast, I was talking to you about how it becomes a situation for me where I have to consistently do the things that I do on a daily basis, not because, oh man, they're exciting. Certain things that potentially I don't enjoy need to get done, but I need to be consistent on, right? What are some of those actionable steps that you take that require your consistency?
I practice micro improvement, consistent, constant micro improvement. And I don't know if I got it from a Atomic Habits book or Micro Habits books. There are two books that talk about habits, but I don't know if that's where it came from or if I just came up with it.
Enlighten us,
Yeah.
elaborate a little bit. What is that
So
exactly?
constant micro improvement. If you try to let's take exercise for example, you haven't exercised in a while and you go back to the gym and you're trying to spend an hour every day, and you may not keep doing it. Summer will come around or you'll be busy and you stop going to the gym. The idea of micro improvement is that maybe you walk an extra minute every day or once a week. You run extra half a mile, just a little bit more. When I was studying, I'm going to read just one more paragraph before I go to bed.
One more.
Just one more. It could be something small, tiny. I'm going to work on one more question. But over the year, that tiny little improvement becomes a huge improvement. And we
like that.
have that in the practice, and all the employees are empowered to constantly improve, even if it's like a tiny little bit. We have this joke that we have to learn something new every day.
Love it.
And so when we do, we share with each other. There was an update in our software today. It's like, did you know that, now you can see the full screen on this thing, and it's like, improvement or something you learn how to do.
That's fantastic. That's kind of like there's a certain term, not necessarily term, rather the strategy. You focus on being 1% better every single day.
I've heard of that too. Yeah.
And it works out to where at the end of the year, if you accomplish getting better 1% every single day, it's 37% better since day one of January the 1st.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh my God, ever since I've read that, and this may have been 10 years ago, that's been our focus as well, Lucy.
And it doesn't have to be 1%. It could be like a
Micro.
yeah. And savings as well. I tell my clients, if you don't have the habit of saving, you can start very small, grow over time, but you get into that habit. Creating the habit, it's a big deal.
Walk us through some of because we really haven't highlighted what exactly is the service that your firm, your practice offers specifically to clients.
Yeah, so there are a few things that we do. One that came with the CPA practice is compliance work, which is tax preparation. We have about 600 clients. A lot of them are attorneys. And so the tax preparation,
Okay.
bread and butter of the firm, and I absolutely love doing it. It's like a puzzle to me, and that's a huge part of our practice. Another large part of our practice is tax controversy. And this is very rewarding for me because we help people resolve their tax problems.
So, on that note, when you say tax controversy, is it a situation where there's a certain lawsuit already engaged, or hey, I just missed the deadline and I need to have this particular issue? What exactly is the tax controversy that you mentioned that you assist folks with?
Yeah, so it could be a letter from the IRS, that a penalty that you got, or it could be a huge multi-million dollar audit, or the audit went very badly, went wrong.
So it ranges depend on any type of
Anything,
particular tax
any type of
problem.
issue. Yeah,
You step in.
yeah.
Beautiful, fantastic. Anything else that you guys offer?
Yeah, so we do a lot of tax planning as well. And this is a lot of fun. It's like a puzzle again. Look at the type of entity you have, what you could be doing differently. Are there strategies that you could be taking advantage of?
Let me ask you this, Lucy. Why is it that the tax code is extremely complicated to the point where it seems intentional that they really make it so broad, confusing, these legal verboses in there that for your regular individual, they may get lost, and this is where the tax problems start getting to come about. What's exactly the intent from legislation,
Yeah.
Congress, to have this type of really complex code?
I have this theory that it is a means for the government to control the public. And that's why we'll never have a flat tax. Let me give you an example. If the government wants to incentivize citizens to study, they
Okay.
will give out tax credits. If they want to disincentivize a behavior, they will tax it, like cigarettes, alcohol, bribes that are not deductible. So I think it is a process and there's a means of the
Interesting.
government influencing the
Controlling
the
society.
behavior. Yes, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah. If
Impressive.
you want people to buy electric cars, you're going to give them a credit for buying electric cars, and the credits have been really high.
Good point. Good
So,
point. What's your take? Because look, we all know and understand there's a new administration coming into office here for the executive branch in our government. And the talk has been that, okay, we're going to wipe out the federal income and we're going to focus on tariffs. Do you think that's actually going to become a reality, or is it potentially some political hype that may just
it's
be being
political hype.
discussed?
I think it's political hype. So we'll never have a flat tax. I think also flat tax, I think it's very unfair to the low income population. Let me tell you a little bit why. It's a consumption tax, right? So the low income families, they spend all their money. There's no money left. It all goes to groceries, rent, whatever. The wealthy, they don't spend all the money that they earn. The money goes to savings. So for taxing, spending, consumption, the low-income families are going to pay disproportionately more in taxes than the wealthy would.
That makes sense. In looking at your wide range of experience and clients, Lucy, what do you think is really the distinguishing factor, or is it the one that you just highlighted, which is look, the more affluent individuals are focused on saving compared to just spending? What do you think is the big difference that is holding someone from being in a particular tax bracket to then earning more, keeping more, generating more?
Well, definitely financial education. That's a huge factor. I mean, socioeconomic factors, where you grew up, where you went to school, the opportunities that you've had. But financial education is definitely lacking. We don't learn about checking accounts or taxes in school.
Don't.
You have to go out and get that training, that information, and yourself. And now that we have YouTube and we have all the, this
YouTube University, we call it.
access to information, it's very helpful. But
Understood.
but I think that makes a huge difference.
When focusing on your client experience specifically, you mentioned there was quite a bit of attorneys that you assist.
Hmm.
What do you think is one of the main issue that you have allowed or at least dissected and have allowed the opportunity for these individuals to correct it that allowed them to then take it to the next level?
I do see a lot of, and this is in general, not just attorneys. I see people living beyond their means and spending all the money that they make and not setting money aside. I see people not reinvesting the money into their firms. I mean, now specifically for attorneys.
Hmm.
If you're spending all the money and not reinvesting it in your firm,
It's going to
be,
eventually die.
well, not necessarily. You're going to have to balance that out somewhere else. So maybe you do more networking to grow. But then your systems, your software may not be up to date to where it needs to be. So you operating at highest efficiency possible. So I think you have, as an entrepreneur, you have to reinvest in your business. You have to set aside some money from that profit to go back into the business, if that is, if you want to grow it.
Certainly, what I've gotten from you, Lucy, is you want to make sure that you have clean books, clean records. Your
Yes.
financials should be completely clean, up to speed, up to date, so that you can have a better understanding and idea as to what exactly is the health of your business, right? But is there any particular nuggets that you would recommend to folks who have their own business or are entrepreneurs to say, look, for taxes, you want to make sure that you immediately, as soon as it comes in, a portion is allocated for tax. And then ultimately, you want to keep an understanding as to what exactly it is that you are potentially ending with EBITDA. And
Hmm.
I'll allow you to highlight what exactly that may mean so that you can then understand I need to allocate this percentage to reinvestment.
Yeah.
Walk us through what exactly would be your suggestions, your golden nuggets to allow somebody to provide improvement to their business.
So I think you have to know your numbers. You, a lot of people, and I understand, you went to school to be an attorney, to be a physician, not to be an accountant and be, dealing with your books. I totally get that, but you have to know your numbers, and you have to be disciplined to stay on top of your bills and particularly your taxes, to stay ahead of it. Also, don't be afraid to spend the money on professionals. Like me, I often see clients where I see they're in the wrong type of entity,
Mm.
and we change the entity, and sometimes I can go back a couple of years. And I had a client last week who got $50,000 back just from that restructuring,
Of
that
the particular entity.
the particular entity. So spend money on professionals, whether it is a CPA, whether it is marketing, human resources, software. I think you get to a point in your business where you can no longer do it all yourself.
Good.
You have to seek expertise
Guidance.
outside and guidance.
I agree. I agree. This would be your main suggestion for folks who are operating their own business.
I think know your numbers is definitely extremely important. And then from there, you work on KPIs, key performance indicators, but you have to know where your money is coming from, and you have to know where your money is going. So if you're an attorney and you do everything, right? You do civil, you do family law, you do probate. Which area of which one of the areas of your practice is bringing in the most money? I say it's family, and maybe you want to focus on family and let go of the other practice areas that are taking up your time, where you could be spending on family law and making more money. Or where is the money going? Are you spending too much money on, I don't know, advertising or software or fees that are disproportionate to the value that it's bringing you? Are you taking out too much money from the company where the company cannot pay its bills? So you have to know those metrics. I think that will make a huge difference.
You made a really good point because it seems like, in today's era of social media virality, I would say, the understanding is that I need to have a Lamborghini, a Ferrari, I need to have a private jet. And it's really not realistic to, I mean, depending, of course, on your level of success or how you may define success, but you really want to focus on the numbers as you're stating and the health of the business and where exactly your money is going. Because that's huge for a lot of folks where they immediately attain some financial success and they immediately want to go ahead and say, I need to have, the designer clothes, the brands and this and that, instead of focusing on the health of the business.
That drives me crazy. I can't stand seeing attorneys do this a lot, where they start making money and they go and spend on very expensive cars, or designer clothes or lavish vacations. And in the meantime, they're not funding their 401k. They're not setting money aside for their future. And I know you and I have had this conversation as to the future and setting money aside and funding 401k and funding real estate and really making a long-term plan for your life. Because you don't know that money is going to keep coming.
Agreed.
You just don't know.
Not guaranteed.
It's not guaranteed. You may be doing great today and next year not so much. I'm a compulsive saver. I am obsessed with saving.
How so? Is there a percentage that you say, okay, I'm going to allocate immediately as soon as it touches my operating account, that I want to have a percentage allocated to savings, to my investments, or give us a little bit of insight in that?
If I see money laying around, it's definitely being put to use, whether it's in the market or into a retirement or into a savings account. But I genuinely get a lot of pleasure and satisfaction from moving that money into a long-term, not savings investment account. Yeah.
Good. I actually operate the same way, Lucy, where I just don't feel comfortable having money just sitting around not doing anything. My perspective on money has always been money is a tool. Money is a tool that if you don't utilize it, I mean, just you're going to have a full shed of tools. What for? What's the purpose?
Yeah.
So my strategy has always been I need to deploy each dollar, whether it be back into the business, the firm, marketing, an investment in the market, whatever it may be, so that it can then bring in other friends with them back.
Yeah.
Right? Another dollar be brought back in. But it's just, otherwise, you're going to accumulate it for what?
Right.
It's really a tool so that you can then improve. And the way that I see it, I can improve either my family's life, our team's life, the people that we are ultimately positively impacting by way of providing great service.
You bring a great point. Why are you working so hard? What is the point of the money? So I would say I'm working really hard to earn more money and become a multimillionaire. Great. That's fantastic. I love that. But what are you going to do with that money? What is your purpose? At the end of the day, what is that money going to do for you?
Agreed.
And I think everybody needs to ask that question.
It's a key.
Otherwise, you're just in a hamster wheel, right? You just why? What for? So yeah. Let's say you get a.
They call it the rat race, huh?
The rat race. Let's say you win the lottery. Then what? What is the point? I think it only takes so many vacations or buy things, and don't get me wrong, I'd rather cry in a very nice expensive car than on the bus stop.
Yes, ma'am. But, I agree.
But completely. I think at the end of the day, we have to look at the bigger picture and ask your why. I have a story. Last year, I participated in this program through Goldman Sachs for small businesses. It's like a growth accelerator in business incubator program. And at the end of the program, you present your plan, your growth plan, and how you're going to measure what steps you're going to take, how you're going to measure your progress and success. And it was like towards the end of my presentation, in a room full of people, all my cohort and their families and the instructors were all there, and I was explaining how I was going to measure my revenue, my my EBIT, earnings before tax and depreciation, interest, and how I was going to increase this, decrease that. And I stopped. It's like, you know what? No, forget it. Forget all of this. I am going to measure my success on how much time I get to spend with my family.
Beautiful.
Right? The money will come. I know it will come because I work hard for it. But why am I doing this?
Your true why, from what it sounds like, is your family.
Or what is success? What is success? What is it? Is it just money? Or is it the time you spend with your family? The difference that we make in our clients' lives, how many people we've helped? I think that's real success.
You've certainly hit a nail on the head there. Success can be, defined, and I've said it over and over, defined differently for many folks. But for us, it's certainly fulfilling where we're impacting our clients' lives in some form, way, or fashion positively. And at the end of the day, being able to structure our life where we still have that time period to dedicate our time to our family. That is what I would consider success. And really, at the end of the day, you have to focus on being great day in and day out, right? To make sure that you're, at least for me, every time I feel that I'm doing something, helping out, developing, creating, is where I feel the most happiness.
That's your purpose. You have to find your purpose as well. What makes you, what would you do if you didn't get paid to do? Would you still go out and help clients who are in a difficult situation? If you had disposable income, if you had won the lottery, would you still get satisfaction from doing the work that you do?
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And that gives you that purpose and fulfillment and happiness in doing what you do.
I love that.
If you are not in alignment with your purpose, it's hard to get out of bed. It's hard to perform the work. That's why I left corporate America. I was not enjoying preparing financial
weren't getting that
statements. I was
fulfillment.
not. No.
Understood. Because for a whole lot of folks, they envision corporate America, and this is where I want to end up at, not realizing that at the end of the day, that it is long hours.
Yes.
It is a lot of dedication that is time away from potentially your purpose, your why, your family. Not knowing that at the end of the day, there's other ways, there's other avenues to still have that impact, yet still have that balance in your life where you're fulfilling your true why and your true purpose. Give me an example here, Lucy, as to what exactly are some of the strategies or habits that you deploy when you're facing a major setback.
Definitely going back to my purpose. Why am I doing this? What is the bigger picture? Something I ask myself during difficult times or problem situations, like, is this going to matter in 5 days, 5 years?
Okay.
So yeah, 5 years, I definitely have to
Focus on it.
focus on this.
5 days?
5 days, maybe not so much. Maybe,
Not to the level of the 5 years.
right.
Understood. So you want to focus on, is it truly going to impact negatively to then allow
also,
yourself to focus?
How much time am I going to devote to this problem right now? I don't know. Let's say that my software update is it's going to be late, and I will have a short time to prepare documents. Yeah, it sure, but it will be resolved in a week or in a month, and
Understand.
not a 5 year problem.
5 year issue.
Yeah.
Now, walk me through some of the skills and qualities that you believe are required or necessary for someone who is interested in your particular field to thrive in.
I think tax law, you have to stay current. You have to do a lot of training every year. I joke that just when you think that you know,
Something's changed.
it changed. They changed it. Integrity is extremely important in our area of work. Your name. I mean, I don't know if we're around for Enron and the whole debacle that really shook the accounting industry, but you are you have a responsibility as a CPA, certified public accountant. You have responsibilities to the public, so you have to maintain that integrity. But I think in business, you have to have integrity and customer service. I call it a trifecta: is it technical skills, integrity, and customer service. If you have these three things, I think there's no limit where you can go.
You're going to thrive.
I think you will definitely thrive. And I probably the same for most businesses.
I would agree. You certainly want to have the understanding that your customer service needs to be great. Because at the end of the day, without clients in any business,
Yeah.
how are you going to be successful?
Now, I know you're familiar with this. We went to a conference together, and there was a speaker, and I think the name of his book was Unreasonable Customer Service.
That's right.
And I was really impressed by his philosophy on customer service of going above and beyond. And I think you can use that without spending necessarily a lot of money, and that will go further than any advertising or any other campaigns that you could spend money on your business.
I heard this actually from this conference, the owner of such conference, Michael Mogul. He also has his own podcast, and it just came out on this recent episode where it says the best strategy for advertising is your work product.
I love that.
And that can be the product itself, that could be the service, but that's going to be your best strategy for advertising. Because think about it. Let's focus on Elon Musk here in Tesla. They provided a great product, and literally the product speaks for itself. And it just continues bringing on massive amounts of new clients. It's the same way for any industry, any business.
Yeah.
Focus on your work product.
That is so true, and we do develop a reputation. I think that's part of our reputation as attorneys. People talk, and now we have reviews online, discussions, and I do think that in the long run will speak for itself.
Agree completely, Lucy. Give me some of your understanding as to how do you cultivate resilience and adaptability in this fast changing environment that you mentioned. If you don't really stay current, you're going to stay behind.
So true. Yeah, we have to stay on top of the technical changes. You have to look at the long-term picture. And what is it that the Marines say? Hold on. Adapt. Oh, I'm just going blank here. Adapt, improvise, overcome.
I haven't heard it.
It's something like that.
I have to look that up.
Yeah, let's look that up. I think it's adapt, improvise, adapt, overcome. You have to adapt. You have to roll with the punches, right? Let me give you an example. Before the pandemic, I was addicted to paper. All my files had to be on paper.
Files.
Paper files. I would work on the files by looking at the actual documents, paper documents that my staff had to print sometimes and put it on this file. And well, when the pandemic hit, we were no longer working together, and we had to collaborate on those files. And there was no way to pass those files around like we did in the office. And we had to become digital overnight, which I had resisted for the longest time. But we had to become digital very fast and develop a system where we would also safeguard this client's information, where we're accessing it from, different places, and have a system where we could all access into one place instead of having like software, different 10 types of software to access it.
You have to immediately pivot and adapt to
And
the
that happened
fast-changing
very
environment regarding
fast.
COVID.
Yeah. But it was great. I am now anti-paper. I'd like to
That's
say
good.
I was dragged into the 21st century involuntarily, but now we are better for it. Because we're more efficient, and it really made us better.
Good, good. I actually, during COVID, I think it gave me an edge, Lucy, because I was in a world where I was already tech savvy. Before going to law school, I had a business where we used to develop and design websites.
I didn't know that.
And it was an opportunity for me to immediately stand out from your other firms who were completely shut down because they were dependent on paper files, and they couldn't go to their office or collaborate with their team. And for us, we immediately were taking on new clients based off of, we can send our engagement documents digitally to you.
Wow.
We don't have any issues. Matter of fact, you want to meet us? Let's go ahead and engage in a virtual Zoom conference.
So you could attend to the clients right away, whereas the other firms may have had.
We're having some issues, right? Because they didn't have their physical offices open. And so on the other hand, courts then started realizing the need to open back up. So they said, we're going to go ahead and allow virtual conferences.
Yeah.
And so sure enough, I was already, taking advantage of that. And so it was not an issue at all whatsoever. But it is a point that I agree with, where you have to maintain this adaptability.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be certain wrenches thrown your way, and you just have to make sure that you're ready to face them with grace, and make sure that you're adaptable to figuring out, where do I need to pivot to make sure that I adapt, get better.
And I think these obstacles could be opportunities. Like, it was a huge
As well.
opportunity for you
I agree.
to differentiate yourself.
Completely. It was a
Yeah.
game changer.
Yeah.
And I loved it.
I love that. I love what you did with it.
Now, in your personal growth here that you've had, what do you think is really something that, if you were to look back at when you first started, you realize, if only I were to have had this information, this particular habit, this particular mindset, I would be way further in my business, my life, my development. What do you think is something that around that strategy or habit that would help out other folks if they were to implement it in their life?
I do think about this often. I look back and think, what if I could change? What would I change? Everything that I've done and that happened to me, good or bad, I think worked out for a purpose. I truly believe that that everything has worked out exactly as it was supposed to. And I would not go back and change anything. Now, it wasn't easy. It was hard. I chose the hard way. Let me tell you. I think being foreign and going into business by myself without business models. I've only worked at a law firm a tax law firm for a very short time. I didn't know what a law firm looked like.
Understood.
That was hard. That was really difficult. I didn't have somebody to tell me what a file system in a law firm would look like. I did not have. I mean, I had mentors, but I didn't have that experience. that made life really hard, difficult, starting everything from scratch. But it was also a gift because not knowing what those models are, what it's traditionally done, allowed myself to design it differently. And we operate in many ways differently from other law firms. And I think that has contributed significantly to my success.
I love it. And that you made a good point here, Lucy, because most of the time we'll see individuals that want to skip the struggle part and immediately attain success,
Yeah.
but really not realizing that that phase or the constant challenges and struggles is where character is built. And really, for you to take it to the next level, you need to have a particular set of understandings, of struggles, of challenges and hardships that has built up this character for you to say, I need to take it to the next level to know and understand that there's going to be other challenges
Yeah.
and other struggles to face that's going to allow me to then build up the next level of my character.
I think you need to embrace the struggle. I know it's going to be there. I know there are going to be challenges, and that's okay. That is okay. I am going to fail. I am going to come across difficulties. I know as an entrepreneur, I know that is coming. You cannot be in business and have everything go 100% right and okay.
True.
You have to know and build that in, build that expectation in your business. Like just like you built in, if you have a machine, you know that machine will work so many hours on average and that it will eventually die.
True.
There's an expectation that it will eventually phase itself out or go wrong, or things will go wrong. You have to build that into your business as well, that expectation that things will break.
So having an expectation of a particular risk that you should always take into consideration that there's always going to be there.
I think that when it does happen, you will not panic.
You face it with grace.
You face it with grace, you learn your lesson, you improve, and you're better for it.
I'm assuming up to this point here, Lucy, you are a first generation for quite a bit of things here for your family. First generation college graduate,
Yep,
first generation lawyer,
yep,
first generation business owner.
yeah, yeah,
My God.
yeah.
So you've really set the standard here for your family, huh?
So my plan. So living in Brazil, growing up, I was not. I wanted to be a pilot. That's what I wanted to do. So my family, I come from an aviation family. Dad was a pilot. Mom was a flight attendant. That was their only job their entire life.
Wow.
And I wanted to be a pilot, but back then women didn't usually pursue that career path. I was expected to work at the airline, which I did, but worked there my whole life and make a career out of it.
Let me ask you this. Have you done an exploratory flight?
I'm a pilot now.
You're a pilot,
I
Lucy.
am. Yeah, yeah,
Private pilot.
yeah, yeah. I actually started with an air transportation pilot.
How long did that take you, by the way?
It depends. It took me a year or so. Yeah.
How many hours
I have like 100 hours.
of flying time? My God. Wow. Because I've been interested and I did an exploratory flight real quick. And sure enough, I pull up to this private airport out in Sugar Land, if I'm not mistaken, out
Yeah.
there by Fort Bend County. And I see a small, dinky, rinky-dinky plane. And sure enough, the gentleman there says, hey, look, let me just make sure that I walk you through a couple of things, make sure that you understand exactly how things work. And then we'll go over there and make sure that you look around and have an understanding as to how the actual inside of the plane looks
Yeah.
and all the functionalities of the buttons that are all there. And then we'll go up for a flight.
Yeah.
I said, okay, great, fantastic. So sure enough, we had that, small lesson, maybe 45 minutes as to what the functionalities of each plane button was inside. And we go over there inside and we get on, strap up. and we're ready to go. So I'm thinking, I'm going to get my private pilot license. It's not going to be any issue. I'm going to be able to fly my own helicopter
Uh-huh.
and all these sorts of things. First flight, we get up there. And sure enough, because I didn't realize when you're in this way smaller plane than a commercial airliner, you're going to feel a lot more
You feel everything.
compared to being in
Yes.
a commercial flight. And the first turn that we did,
You're like, nope.
it was really 90 degrees over. And I said, my God, my stomach just went left and right. I quickly realized this may not be for me.
I will tell you, I get motion sickness as well. I
What do
only
you take something to overcome that? Or
I like self hypnotize myself out of it.
what do you mean? Tony Robbins here?
I mean I've never seen a Tony Robbins stuff. I mean I know of the name, but
Highly recommend. I'm going to send you a link here after we finish this podcast. But
Yeah.
give me the understanding there.
you can self hypnotize yourself.
How so?
You just
You mean you tell yourself, you talk to yourself, and you say, "I'm not going to get motion sickness."
well for me I will count back, visualizing myself. So for me like cold and air help me out of nausea, but also hyper focusing on something helps me. So I will calm myself. I will count back, visualizing where the state that I want to be into, and
And this could be many different states: relaxed state,
Yeah.
happy state.
for sleeping, I do that for sleeping as well.
Wow, and it works for you.
It works for me.
So this is what you do to correct the motion sickness.
Yes, and but if I am flying the plane, I do not feel sick at all.
Okay, so if you're in control, is what
If
you're
I'm in
saying.
control,
You don't get. You know what? That may
which
be
is so interesting.
That may be what I need to do. Then I need to just be in
That's what I
full
was gonna say.
control and
You
say, "I'm not going to get sick."
Yeah, you should. You can take some Dramamine too.
I'm
Just
gonna
take
try it. But you being licensed now, do you utilize it first?
I haven't flown in a long time. I
is that the
was
case?
at first I was pursuing a professional career as a pilot. I it came down to money. I
Mm.
did not like how much money the pilots got paid.
Understood.
It
Okay,
was
so you said
really
this is not for
bad.
me.
I did not, and that, and coupled with the quality of life, because I saw what my parents went through.
Mm.
No holidays. We had no weekends, no holidays, or they could be working on Christmas, could be working on New Year's. I I could have put up with that, and eventually you get seniority and you get better hours.
Understood.
But the pay was really bad. So later, my ex-husband had an airplane, twin engine plane, really nice, and my daughter was on a travel team. So we ended up flying her all over the country, and
You were the one flying.
yeah,
Fantastic.
and that was a lot of fun.
I bet.
Yeah.
I bet it was.
I was a glorified bus driver, but yeah.
How long was the last time that you actually flown a plane?
Oh my God, it's probably like 10 years or so.
If you get the opportunity, would you jump in right away?
To do it recreationally,
Of course.
yeah.
Of course.
I mean, I have the chance right now to do it if I want to get back into it,
Got
but it's probably
we
not.
need to visit on that, Lucy.
Yeah.
I have some ideas here that we can execute.
Okay,
For
I
sure.
love that.
Here, what exactly would you do, Lucy? You posed a question to me right now, but I'm going to return that back to you. What would you do if there was no need for money?
My life purpose, my life mission is to be of service. That's when I am happiest. I realized that during the volunteer work, when I am of service, when I am helping people, making a difference, that's when I am the happiest. I get so much satisfaction from helping my clients. Sometimes they're in really bad place, bad situation, and getting them out of that place, or even showing them the light at the end of the tunnel, it really makes my day. I still volunteer. I still do quite a bit of volunteer work. I am co-chair of the Tax Action Pro Bono Committee in Texas.
Fantastic.
And
this is what fulfills you at the end of the day.
absolutely, absolutely. Seeing the lives improved, the happiness, the relief, it's everything.
I love it. I love it. This is what brings you fulfillment. If the case is here that you want to provide some quick 1-2 things that you have in mind for anybody who's of the position to say, I want to attain, whether it be financial success, professional success, personal development success, what are some of the things that you would want to make sure that you share with them for them to take it immediately into consideration, take action, and start working?
I think long-term thinking, even short-term discomfort. Where do you want to end up? How far back? Not just tomorrow or next year, but where? And then your purpose, why you're doing this, and what makes you happy.
Fantastic.
I
I think
think-
these things that you just highlighted, if they're really serious about it, my recommendation, my 2 cents on it, sit down, exactly what she just suggested here, write it out, and really figure out how can I make sure that I then put a plan into action, execute, and start getting out there.
They don't teach that in school, do they?
They don't,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And you made a good point. In law school, if anybody's considering going to law school, just understand you're not going to be taught how to then be a successful law firm founder
No.
or how to be a business individual. They don't teach that in law
No.
school, sadly. But it's something that it comes from within, and you have to just embrace that struggle that we spoke about and take action. Lucy, what were some of the key factors here that helped you attain and personally unlock your success?
Definitely being a teenage mom was very difficult. It was very challenging. Staying in school was really difficult. I don't come from a family of means and in a country that doesn't offer as many opportunities. But that gave me so much drive and ambition for a better life for my daughter, and that made me determined to succeed. And once I set that course, there was no stopping. It was just a matter of how, figuring out how to advance through education, through training, learning, and a whole lot of hard work and a whole lot of stubbornness.
Good.
Stubbornness that I was going to succeed no matter what.
I love it. If you have the understanding that someone out there is watching this episode and they feel stuck in wherever it is that they are in life, what would be your recommendation to them?
Keep trying. My goodness, just keep trying. Keep working on it. If one door did not open, you try another door. Don't give up. Just make a plan. Look at the long-term goal, where you want to be. Set a course. A friend of mine once asked me, how did you get there? I said, I saw where I wanted to go, and I removed anything that did not get me to where I wanted to go.
I love it. You heard it straight from the source. Do not give up. Be stubborn. Be persistent. Take action. Keep trying. How would anybody be able to find you, Lucy?
I'm easy to find. If you just search my name, Lucy Petry, Petry, you'll find my website, my social media. I'm very easy to find.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
If anybody needs help regarding any type of tax issue, tax planning, preparation for your business, determining what exactly would be the entity type reach out to Lucy, please. You will not regret it. Thank you so much, Lucy. I
Thank
appreciate
you,
you.
Mario. This was so good.
I think you're really going to benefit from watching this full episode. Once again, thank you everybody for watching. We always appreciate the feedback, the comments. Leave them right below. Subscribe. We'll see you the next time.